Once you're not winning them over anymore, many people stop trying to keep them. So the missing piece is the in-between, the vow and the end of the marriage. Today, we are going to be talking about a very touchy subject. I'm gonna say upfront that I'm going to ruffle some feathers. I just ask that if you're listening, stick with me for a little bit. This may not be exactly what you think, okay? We're gonna talk about the words "till death do us part" and what they mean and where they came from and why they might not be serving us the way we would like them to. So hang in there, gang. Like, if you're here with me and you're listening, this might at first seem like an offensive idea. When they first wrote the words, "till death do us part," guess how long the average person lived? 43. I've been doing my research. So the promise that you think means forever, when it was originally written, it meant about 19 years. Because people live to 43. Now, people live to 80, 90, 100 easily. And that number is sometimes tripled in years. So we have kept the exact same 6 words for 500 years, and we quietly tripled the sentence. And let me show you what I mean. All right. Again, hang with me. I started thinking about this when I was watching a show and they said "till death do us part." And I thought, my God, like, no one's staying that long. And that seems like such an old school part of wedding vows and vows we make to people. And it almost seems like a lie in this day with how much divorce there is and how much separation is and how normal it is for people to move on. Do we really mean it? Let's dig in a little bit and, more importantly, talk about, is that phrase serving us the way it was intended to? And do we live in a world where it can work? So I'm Leslie. This is the Loom Life. This is Pulling Threads, part of the Loom Life, where we share ideas and stories that work through our programming and decide if we need to get rid of it or keep it. And this is the first episode in a series about those 6 words. So maybe the most sacred 6 words we have, "till death do us part," maybe not. Now, I really want to be clear about something before I go one sentence further, because the conversation could easily be misheard. And I want to be really clear. I am not anti-marriage. And I think that's really, really important for everyone to hear and accept. I am not anti-marriage. I am anti-lying at the altar. And I think many people are doing just that, whether they intend to or not. There is a difference. And by the end of the video, I think you'll see what I mean. So if you've ever stood up in a hard season of a long marriage, quietly wondered, what is wrong with me? This episode is for you. And I hope you stay with me. So I'm going to go back a little bit. These words aren't ancient in the way we imagine. They actually came from a man named Thomas Cranmer, who wrote them into something called the Book of Common Prayer in 1549. Yes, 1549. All right? It's a bit ago. And the original line was a little bit softer than the one that we use. It wasn't part. It was "till death us depart," where depart just meant separate. 2 people separated by death. That's the image we have. Here's the part that nobody tells you. In 1549, life expectancy in England, where this originated, was somewhere in the low 40s. Was it around 43? So picture a couple getting married in their mid-20s. On average, how long did they actually get together before death did the parting? About 19 years. And that was long, right? So marriage back then was rarely this decades-long endurance event that we imagine now. I mean, we imagine growing old together when we say, till death do us part. And I think in the age of gray divorce and all of these, all we hear about are divorces. And in addition to the gray divorce, which is the divorce after 50, we're hearing about people on both sides, men and women, glowing up after their gray divorce, looking younger, getting healthier, living their best life. So I think we need to take a pause and really think about these words. And I'm going to think about them on many, many, many different levels, because I want to be clear. I do think having a partner and a connection for most of our adulthood, always having someone who's our person, whether it's in a relationship, a friendship, or a close family member, I think that is a critical part of aging well and staying healthy. So don't get me wrong. I do not think that everyone should be alone. Quite the opposite. But it was, marriage back then was rarely this long thing. It was often just a chapter of the person's life, and it ended early because there was illness, childbirth, and bodies were just more fragile back then. So widowhood was actually really common, and remarriage was common. People loved and they grieved and then they loved again, especially women. They needed to get remarried. So it wasn't uncommon for women in their 40s to find a new spouse, a new relationship. Now, if we do the math on our life, a couple getting married today can expect around 57 years together. So look at what actually happened. We took the same 6 words that were calibrated for about 2 decades of marriage, and without changing a single letter, we stretched them across more than half a century. Just let that sit in and let the trends that we're seeing now sit into. Look at the age when people are getting divorced. I don't think it's an accident. We are the first humans in history asked to keep this promise for that long. And we're not the best at it. We're not the most devoted. We are not. And I think that quietly reframes so much of the shame I see in people I work with. They're so ashamed that they couldn't make this thing work. Because when a marriage starts to strain at year 20 or 25 or 30, we assume the failure was personal and the person failed. We assume we failed. I didn't try hard enough. Other people manage forever. What's broken in me? Okay, those old marriages that lasted 19 years, that's exactly how many years I was with my ex-husband. So in those terms, I made it. I got to the end of the road but I didn't die. I didn't die at 43 or even in my 40s. Here I am at 50. So I think that this shame we hold about not keeping this promise is more indicative of a need for a change in the promise. We're going to keep digging into that idea. Just stick with me. Some of you are probably really mad, but it's okay. Rather than think what's broken in me, I think we need to think about what's broken in this programming we have that tells us that we need to meet someone in our 20s and stay with them until we're 100 years old. Let's think about the programming more than blaming ourselves. Forever was never even the historical assignment. We inherited the language of a 19-year promise. And we've been holding ourselves to a 57-year one and then blaming ourselves for the ache of the difference and being punished financially with a system that makes going through the divorce process ridiculously miserable. So here's where I want to go a little bit deeper, because I don't think the problem is really the length of the promise, to be honest. I think we've confused the word with the thing, and the word is forever. And forever is easy. It costs you nothing at the altar because it asks nothing of you tomorrow morning. Let that sink in. You can promise forever and then spend 30 years slowly disappearing inside it, going through the motions, sleeping next to someone that you don't turn toward anymore, mistaking endurance for love. The word doesn't care whether you actually are there. It just needs you to say it. The thing, the making it work and loving this person, the verb love, that's hard. And some people do it, and some people do it really beautifully. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's hard. And saying, I'm going to be with you I'm going to put this ring on your finger and I'm going to stay with you forever is easy. The thing is presence. It's choosing the person on an ordinary Tuesday when nothing is romantic and the dishwasher is broken and you're both tired in that specific way that long marriages and families and children and responsibilities make you tired. Nobody's watching. No one's crying at the altar. And you choose these people anyway. That's what we need. We need to keep choosing each other. But that choice, repeated, unglamorous, freely made choice, that's the actual substance of a life woven together. That's what's important. And it's braver than any promise of permanence, because permanence, once you've promised it, requires nothing more from you. Presence, showing up every day, requires a lot. So this is the loom, the weaving that I keep coming back to. It's in the name. A marriage was never a single thread that you either keep or you cut. It's cloth, woven every day by every small choice. And here's the thing about cloth. Left unattended, it unravels. We have to keep weaving it. We have to keep working with it. We have to keep taking care of it and giving it attention. That's the part, I think, the promise of till death do us part. That's where the disservice is. It's telling someone that I promise you I will be with you forever, but we're not promising them that we're going to show up when things get hard and when they get sick or we get sick. We're not promising that we keep working on the relationship and that we both keep evolving. And as one person changes, we keep making the effort to keep falling back in love with them, even though they've changed dramatically. We bypass all of that and we say, till death do us part. And I think the words themselves are part of the problem, because I think the moment we say it and we sign the contract, many, many, many people stop trying because we've promised them. Now we're being almost like forced. We made a promise, probably that we are not going to keep. And the irony is the reason we won't keep it is because we made it. The reason we won't stay, the reason why we won't make it work, the reason why we won't keep working at it is because we each promised each other. And so there is a belief that this person can't leave me now. They can't leave me. Not they won't leave me. So when we talk to married people, when I work with married couples, they stop making an effort. Why? They don't have to anymore. Once they don't have to win the person over in this culture, once you're not winning them over anymore, many people stop trying to keep them. So the missing piece is the in-between, the vow and the end of the marriage. The missing piece is the effort we need. We need to almost forget we made the vow and pretend we're dating forever. Because when we're dating someone, they can leave us. And I believe one of the biggest parts of that we're kind of missing is not teaching people that you can't stop trying. You can't stop working. And you can't stop evolving and making the other person feel safe. They don't have to stay with you. It doesn't matter if they said, till death do us part. Those words really don't mean anything if the person doesn't keep trying and keep working and keep recommitting every single day, over and over again. Every day we recommit. And so, like I said, this is episode 1 in a series. And the question I want to leave you with today isn't, should you have promised forever? It's a little more gentle than that. What would you promise now? Knowing what that word actually asks of you. Not, I'll stay no matter what. Something more honest and honestly more demanding. What about, I choose you today. I intend to keep choosing you. And I'll tell you the truth about whether I still can. Thoughts? I'm sure I'm going to have some stuff in my comments section that's going to be great. But that is not a smaller promise. It's a much bigger one. It just happens to be the one you can actually keep. And if your marriage already ended, I want you to hear this part especially. You didn't fail at forever. Forever was never a thing. The choosing every day was the thing. That was the thing. That's what we need to say in our vows. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to take this all the way apart. The research, what an unhappy marriage does to your actual body, the pushback I get, and the vow I'd write instead of this one. If something in this loosened a knot you've been carrying, that feeling is worth listening to. That's the whole work at the Loom Life. And there are links in the description if you'd ever like to talk it through with someone or you need extra support. It is offered through the Loom Life in many different forms in my school community, through coaching, and through a program called Through, where I help women specifically go through divorce in a much more peaceful way and kind of walk alongside them to help support them through. Till next time, wait to hear from you.